by the fire. I have something very special to show you.
What? What? Come on, show me.
You know what these are?
Of course I know. These are pearls.
Very good. And where do you think they came from?
Well, from a shop, I suppose.
Well, that would certainly have been easier. But no. Many years ago, my father, your grandfather, got these from their original home.
Where's that?
From the oysters where they grew. And he dived way down to the bottom of the sea for them. So, his hands were the first to hold these pearls. In those days, if you wanted something, you had to go and get it. All of our country was like this desert now. If you wanted food, you had to hunt for it. Water, there were no taps. You had to travel for it. And to earn money, your grandpa would set out to sea, diving, and diving again for pearl. It was tiring and dangerous work, but it gave us what we needed to live until the disaster came.
Why? What happened?
In the early 1930s, people found a way to make pearls rather than dive for them. And suddenly, no one wanted Grandpa's pearls anymore. Life became very tough for him and for thousands of people.
So what happened?
It was like Allah was watching over our country. Because at the same time as people stopped buying our pearls, a new and very valuable gift was being discovered.
I know, oil.
That's right. Oil explorers came from everywhere in search of oil. And they found it.
So everyone's problem was over. Now the country was rich, yes?
But it took more than just money to set us on the path to a better life.
What do you mean?
It needed a man of honor and character to lead us there.
You mean Sheikh Zayed, right?
I do, of course. He believed that it was people, not dollars, that would make our country great. He could see our future clearly. He saw that the Emirates would be stronger if we all joined together. So along with Sheikh Rashid and the rulers of other states, he formed the United Arab Emirates. And of course, he became the first president as well. He built roads, hospitals, airports, schools. He created opportunities for women, including universities. And only a generation later, just look at us now.
Modern racetrack in Formula One.
Oh, yes.
And we learned that Master City will be completely powered by the sun and the wind and no carbon. And we have the world's tallest building. And the palm. And the incredible hotels. And the metro. And...
Yes, I get it. We have so much to be proud of. But you know, it's not just technology and new buildings that say we have come a long way.
What else then?
What about the treasures in our museums? The art that hangs in our galleries. And the magnificent new Grand Mosque in Abu Dhabi. And what about all the places you and your friends have fun?
I bet we have more fun than you did when you were 9.
Every generation thinks that. But you know, the more things change and move on, the more we should remember where we have come from. Some of the greatest things were created by nature, not by man.
Like this desert?
Like this desert, yes. And like these beautiful pearls, here, put your hands together. It's time to pass them on to you, as my father did to me. So when you are grown up, they will remind you of the journey that he started and which you are carrying on. Now, get some sleep. Tomorrow, we head for the city.
Together, they form the United Arab Emirates, the UAE. From ultra-modern cities to mighty mountain ranges, from vast expanses of barren desert to lush and fertile oases. Seen from up above, it's as though someone had travelled the world, collected its best features, and then brought them all together in an artful blend. Beauty, nature, majesty, industry, fantasy. All of life is in the UAE.
Pearl diving in the UAE. In the economically depressed Emirates of the early 1900s, pearl diving was an important source of revenue. More than 1,200 boats carried over 20,000 men for each annual pearling season. Unfortunately, this business collapsed with the invention of the cultured pearls in the 1920s and the global depression of the 1930s. Only the arrival of the oil companies in the 1950s stabilized the economic situation of the Emirates. Pearling boats. All boats under the authority of a local ruler departed together for the season. Typically, they also returned to the port together, approximately 120 days later. Short trips were sometimes made to nearby ports for food and fresh water. Pearl fishers. The normal complement of crew was 18 to 20 men, although large boats could accommodate up to 100 people. Captains led their boats to the pearl banks and supervised the sails. Boys were inducted as assistants at the age of 9 and allowed to dive when they turned 12. The process of pearl diving. Diving commenced about an hour after sunrise and continued until sunset. Each diver worked in tandem with a hauler. The singer coordinated rhythmical chants to ease their rigorous tasks. Al-Kalta. The diver used this rope while preparing himself for his descent. Al-Zaibal. The diver tied this rope around his waist for a quick descent to the seabed. Once the diver reached the seabed, he freed himself from the Al-Zaibal, and this rope was pulled up by the hauler. At the bottom, the diver had approximately 3 minutes to collect oysters and place them in his basket. Al-Aida. When ready to surface, the diver simply tugged his secondary rope and was pulled up by the hauler. Once on the surface, the diver rested for 5 minutes and then dived again until he had completed 10 dives, called the Ukhama. The diver's gear. On average, a diver performed 50 dives per day, collecting around 20 oysters per dive. A cotton bodysuit was used to guard bodies against jellyfish. Leather finger protectors were used to avoid any harm by pointed rocks or coral. The diver wore a nose clip of bone or wood called futam. The basket was used to collect the mollusks. Al-Aida. This rope was the lifeline between the diver and the hauler. Al-Zaibal. This rope had an extension of 36 meters. Hajar. Weight of approximately 5 kilograms was attached to this rope. How pearls are formed. Pearls are formed when a parasite works its way into the soft body of an oyster, mussel, or clam, causing them irritation. As a defensive mechanism, the mollusk encapsulates the intruder into layers of secreted substance called nacre. After a few years, the intruder is naturally converted into a lustrous pearl.
Falcons are in our DNA, they run in our bloods. The falcons makes even a bond between me and my son. They're part of what we are. My name is Hamdan Ahmed Mujran. I'm a falconer, I'm from Dubai. The falcon is the icon of our country, it is even on our passport. Falconry is a part of our heritage. My grandfather and great-grandfather, they used to hunt with it. These days they make competition of falcons. It's basically like the drag race, it's a quarter mile, 400 meters. You release your falcon from point A to B. The fastest falcon cross this distance is the winner. I had a bird last year that got 15 seconds. This is the best time in falconry. While you're training, you have to learn how to make this bird put the full effort from your fist to the guy who's calling it. Chasing the plane or chasing the drone, it's a good exercise for the falcon. This is one technology which I think took us to the next level of training the falcon. It is much easier, much faster, because we can train 20, 30 birds in a row. We have hundreds of birds. I love them all, yes, but some of them, they are special. Their character is different. They're smart, they're clever, they're aggressive. We train the birds every day, morning and evening, non-stop. There is no resting in it. I feel proud of it. I learned this sport of falconry through my father and my brothers. I remember the first falcon I got when I was 4 years old. I cannot forget this day. This is maybe the best day of my life. I'm thinking, could I pass it to my son or not? Because this generation is different with their iPad and other stuff. But luckily, I managed to. He loved it by nature. So I'm very happy he is attached to it.
يوم بتكبر تبغى تحب تبتشل الطيور؟
أحب الطيور وايد هذا.
He started training real birds when he was little bit more than 2 years old. When I watch him at home, he's basically all of the time playing with a falcon toy. The fact that my son does love this hobby. It makes us proud, all of us, not only me, the whole family. We're happy that our children are still attached to this hobby. So our heritage is still going through us and through our children.
Hello and welcome to Animalia. This week we head deep into the Arabian desert to discover some of the native animals of the UAE. The Arabian desert is a vast expanse, the fifth largest desert in the world, encompassing most of the peninsula. The climate is extreme, with temperatures reaching 50 degrees Celsius during the summer and plunging to below freezing in the winter. Yet life flourishes. There are in fact many native species of mammal, bird, reptile, and insect that have adapted to life in the desert. The region's most emblematic creature is Al-Maha, the Arabian oryx. The national animal of the UAE and several other Gulf states. Its distinctive white coat reflects the scorching sun when it's hot, and when it's cold, it can raise the dark hairs on its body to retain heat. Both sexes have long, straight, ringed horns made of hollow bone. Following widespread hunting and poaching, Arabian oryx were considered extinct in the wild by the early 1970s. But in an encouraging conservation success story, they were reintroduced from captive populations and are now flourishing again across the UAE and its neighbors. Well suited to life in the desert, they can go several weeks without water, taking moisture from succulent plants and dew. They usually graze on grasses and shrubs in mixed herds of around 10, but are also observed in larger numbers. The adult males can often be seen dueling for mating privileges, while the younger oryx sport a light brown color before they develop the white coat. There are two types of gazelle present in the UAE: Arabian or mountain gazelle and the Arabian sand gazelle. The difference between the two species is subtle but noticeable. To avoid predators, Arabian gazelles can reach speeds of 65 kilometers an hour, sometimes using a bounding leap and springing into the air with all 4 feet. Also highly adapted to their conditions, they are able to shrink the size of their liver and heart so that they use less oxygen, thereby conserving more water. Sand gazelles normally have a lighter coloring, often with a white-colored face, with elegantly curved, lyre-like black horns. The Arabian camel, also known as the dromedary, has only one hump and is not to be confused with the two-humped Bactrian camel from Mongolia and China. Camels have been hugely influential in Arabia for millennia. Domesticated more than 5,000 years ago, they're able to provide milk, meat, clothing, as well as transport humans and goods across large distances of unforgiving terrain. They are famously hardy and perfect for the desert, with large pad-like feet and extra eyelashes and eyelids to protect their eyes from the sand. Their hump is in fact a storage of fat, which can be metabolized to provide water and energy, meaning they need very little sustenance when resources are scarce. They are surprisingly fast, able to travel at speeds of 65 kilometers an hour when required. Supporting a thriving variety of flora and fauna, the desert is a peaceful, wondrous, and unique natural environment, which continues to inspire. There's plenty more to explore in the Arabian wilderness, so stay tuned to Animalia, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next week.
The Arabian horse is a sight to behold and one of the most easily recognizable horse breeds of all. Their dished faces, high tail set, and graceful carriage is something that horse lovers everywhere have come to admire. These stunning horses are often a favorite subject for photography, painting, books, and movies. If you're a lover of these unique horses, then you'll be sure to enjoy this collection of fun and interesting facts about the Arabian horse breed. Oldest purebred horses in the world. In case you didn't know, the Arabian horse is the oldest of all the horse breeds. They're thought to be at least 3,000 years old, with some sources dating them back 5,000 years. And what's even more amazing is how this breed's look has been preserved over time. Because of careful breeding, the look of the Arabian has remained essentially unchanged throughout the centuries. Origin unknown. While we all know that this is an ancient horse breed, their exact origin is somewhat mysterious. But what we do know is that the Bedouin tribes of Arabia took the horses and carefully guarded their bloodlines. The Bedouin tribes cherished these horses and felt that they were a gift from God, which would give them the ability to fly without wings across the deserts of the Middle East. Because of their close connection with this breed of horse, that's why they're called Arabians. In Arabic, the breed is referred to as Al-Kamza. Still today, Arabian horses continue to be valued for their beauty, intelligence, and stamina. The foundation for many breeds. The Arabian horse has been used to develop several popular breeds. Some of these breeds include the thoroughbred, quarter horse, and the Morgan. In old times, these horses were praised for being fast, requiring less feed, living longer, and having much more stamina than other horse breeds. When the Europeans were introduced to these horses centuries ago, they quickly thought to crossbreed their horses with the Arabian to improve the quality of their horses. Missing bones. Many Arabians have one less vertebrae in their backs, which accounts for their shorter length. Additionally, they have one less in their tail, which is what gives them their famous high tail set. And for their ribs, they have 17 instead of 18 like other horse breeds do. This unique rib cage improves their stamina while running long distances. A house horse. Arabians are known for being people-oriented, and it is believed this temperament was fostered in them by the way they were treated by the Arabs. It is believed that they raised the fowls alongside their children and even brought the mares to live with them in their tents. Always black-skinned. Another unique trait of the purebred Arabian is their skin tone. Unless they are solid white, all Arabian horses have black skin. The most common coat color for Arabians is bay, but they can also have a coat which is white, gray, black, roan, or even chestnut. Made for endurance. It's common knowledge that Arabians are amazing endurance horses. This is in part due to where they come from, the desert sands of Arabia, and in part due to their structure. These horses are fine to medium boned, and they weigh anywhere from 800 to 1,000 pounds. A unique quality of the Arabian horse is their large percentage of fast twitch fibers. These horses are genetically designed to be fast, and their large and flexible nostrils allow them to breathe better while running, too. Famous mounts. Many of the world's most famous men in history chose Arabians as their mount. George Washington brought the first Arabian horse to U.S. soil and bred them with other horses to create a stronger cavalry mount. Genghis Khan, Napoleon, and Alexander the Great all rode Arabians too. This is a breed of horse that is highly intelligent, but also possesses a desire to please. And because of their loyal and gentle disposition, they've been a favorite horse for many centuries. The Arabian may have been popular among generals, but the quarter horse is a favorite among cowboys. Check out the next video to learn more about one of the most popular horse breeds in the world.